I'm Anuj Badeti. I'm a senior at NJIT. I'm graduating in about 2 months. And I'm the Student Senate President.
And so you've been here the whole 4 years?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So, like I said, I'm here to kind of get a first-person point of view about the issues that are impacting students from freshman to college, and then, even after you graduate. When I graduated in '98 from George Mason, it was a different world. Jobs were just plenty to be had. These days, it just seems like opportunities are fleeting, and there's students that are graduating not only undergrad, but even grad school, and then going to work at Starbucks. So just want to get your thoughts about what are the issues that matter to y'all as, in your 20s and even late teens, and what can the federal government do to be more responsive to your needs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is college tuition. I know that's something that I think every college student would agree on, like more access to scholarships, grants, whatnot, just more support from like state governments and just legislation in general. I think another thing that I personally haven't seen that I know is really affecting students, especially at NJIT, is coming back from 2 years of being virtual, just coming back to normalcy after COVID. So whether that be more like governmental support, more mental health programs, more tutoring services, or just publicity on those fronts, I think could also be really beneficial.
Gotcha. So one of the things I'm going to advocate for is that college should not be a for-profit business. It should be nonprofit, because the more you introduce a profit motive to it, then the costs are going to keep skyrocketing. And if there's one thing that should not be treated as profit, is the future of our country. We should be investing in y'all, not making y'all laden with six-figure debt to come out of it. So what are your thoughts about making colleges nonprofit, and really, in a way, if we even go beyond that, making colleges free? This should not be, you should not have to pay, because the more you're productive in college, you become a productive member of society. But if you graduate with all kinds of debt, then it's going to be very hard for you to be productive going forward, because stress, anxiety, depression, all these things prevent you from fulfilling your potential. So what are your thoughts about that?
I'm not super knowledgeable about nonprofit organizations in general, but I think if the end result is that college students are paying less or virtually free to get their degree, I think every college student would be in favor of that.
Right. So I'm assuming that you do you accept or back the idea of forgiving college student loans, for example, student debt?
Yes.
Okay. What are the other issues that are really important to you? Like, you're about to graduate. I'm assuming, are you going to go to grad school, or are you going to go straight to the workforce?
Straight to the workforce.
Okay. So what are some of the issues that you're encountering, or have you, or if not you from your perspective, your peers that are about to graduate, what are the issues they're encountering as they're getting ready to step into the quote-unquote real world?
I would say more resources to finding jobs. While I do have a lot of friends who have jobs when they graduate, I also have a lot of friends who kind of lack those resources, or maybe their application isn't the strongest for whatever reason that it may be. I'm not exactly sure what legislation could do on that front, but I think if anything, just more resources to help bridge that gap between corporate and students finding jobs.
Yeah, you hit. So there's certain things that cannot be legislated, right? There's certain things that's all about community empowerment. If you actually decentralize as much as possible and let the people take care of themselves, knowing that there's a central part to play for the government, right? But they should not be imposed on every aspect of our life. So if you decentralize and allow us to earn more, keep more of our savings, then we can actually empower ourselves and our communities. So that's another way of looking at it as well. As far as the younger generation, your generation, they're a lot more involved in social justice. What are your thoughts about that? And it seems like the more we are, advocating for justice, the further we get away from it. So what is a way to bridge the divide? Because you have such a chasm between the various groups in America, and we're talking right past each other. So how can we bridge the divide to ensure that we are able to actually advance justice?
Yeah, I think one thing that here in Senate that we've been really focusing on is more external opportunities for students to get more involved with their state government. So things such as like service events or like collaborating with the community on different like political agendas or different things like that. Like we do have law programs here, and most universities do as well. So kind of connecting those students who have an affinity towards that kind of like activity, and then connecting them specifically with like Congress. So I think that would also make a lot of things safer and more productive. Yeah, so I would encourage that, like just being more involved with like universities on campus, because those are the future leaders and the people who care the most, I would say. Yeah, so just more like collaboration on that end.
No, I think part of the reason I came out here, I live in, I'm campaigning in Virginia, but I know how very much involved regular students are in terms of being socially aware and advocating for justice. And one of the things that we don't do a good job of is actually listening to y'all. Everyone always talks about the youth, but it's always to kind of use your energy, but not listen to your voice. So we had to do a better job, I believe, of actually empowering your generation. Because in a lot of ways, you come into this with less baggage, whereas some, I'm 47 years old. So sometimes there's wisdom that comes with age, but sometimes you also get set in your ways. So the fact that you're able to approach things in a different way makes you a great asset to society. So we need to do a better job of actually listening to y'all instead of just treating you like billboards in the background. Okay, what else do you want to share with me if you have any other thoughts?
I would say like what most universities are talking about now more than ever is diversity, equity, inclusion. So I think having like a governmental perspective on that, and how like we may be pushing that in our universities, but like this effort doesn't just end here. It's also existing in the workforce, it's existing in government, it's existing like any kind of organization if you look at it in like a bigger scale. So maybe more advertising on that end, like expressing that diversity, equity, inclusion is important everywhere. So that kind of just doesn't stop the campaign that a lot of students are pushing for.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for me, as a first generation immigrant from Ethiopia, this issue matters to me. But a lot of times when we talk about diversity, it's in the boardrooms, it's in the halls of power. But diversity has to mean equality of opportunity for everyone. There's a lot of people that we forget about the poor. We forget about the people that are kind of struggling in working class, and we think that having a face in Congress, or a face on the Supreme Court, or a face in the corporate boardroom is enough. It's not enough. We need to make sure that when we say diversity, it reaches all the way down.
Exactly.
And that it's about, you can't enforce equality, right? Because to each his own. But at least equality of opportunity, that's what we should be striving for. So just let you know a little bit about my campaign. Like I said, as a first generation immigrant from Ethiopia, I care deeply about justice. Obviously, I came here because of injustice. Ethiopia got pretty much destroyed almost in the 1970s. We came here to get away from that type of carnage. So, these things matter to me. I love America for that. But now I'm kind of seeing where this is headed in our country as well. And we're kind of going towards that slippery slope where there's a lot of people that are angry, justifiably so, but we're blaming each other instead of realizing that we're all kind of in the same boat together. So in this way, politics becomes the enemy because we're not able to see each other's commonality of our pains. So a big part of what I'm campaigning for is to get over our divides. I'm not even trying to be a politician, to be honest with you. Like, this type of conversation is what we need. And I should be able to have this conversation with you. If I go to a white person in their 40s who backs Trump, I should be able to have that same conversation with that person. Because the people that think differently than us or look different than us are not the enemies. A lot of times we gravitate towards demagogues because they're speaking to our pains. That doesn't mean that we're somehow evil or nefarious. It's just it's a human element to where we get incited or manipulated by people that know how to manipulate. So I'm trying to get to a point where healing, like conversations are healing. If we're yelling at each other and past each other, then nothing happens. And the more the divides amplify, the more that we get, we get pissed off at each other, then it becomes impossible to actually advance the issues that matter to us.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be through like inclusion, So whether where are you from?
My parents are from India.
Yeah, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say I didn't want to guess though. Whether you're from India or from Ethiopia or from Jamaica or from Ireland, there's a common element that we all want. We want opportunity and we want to do better for our children.
Mm-hmm.
These things are just a human element, So that's why I'm running, to actually put attention to this, and ultimately is to also make sure that working people, working class, middle class, upper middle class, the poor have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Because right now we don't. You essentially have millionaires who are working for billionaires in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
That's not working for us
Yeah.
at all. And there's not one person that's actually speaking up for our. And so, and even if they are, by the mere virtue of the fact that they're running as a Democrat or Republican, those two parties are hopelessly indebted to the multinational corporation agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running as an independent for that reason. And so for me coming here and talking to you, you being the president of the Senate, right? So you get it. You I know you care about it. Issues that I'm speaking about, right? So you can't do things alone. I know that if I want to advance my hopes, I need to link up with people like you, and vice versa. So that's why I came here, just to talk to you, introduce myself to you, and really also to hear about your perspective as well. So it's been a pleasure. Do you have any other thoughts about what I said, or any other things that you want to share?
I think just you coming here to speak to students speaks volume of your campaign, and I think we're in a good direction of who we're choosing as our government leaders. So kudos to you, and I encourage other people to do the same and really listen to us.
Cool, exactly. Listen to the youth. Thank you, Anuj. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Nice to meet you again.
You.